Welcome back, viewers and podcast listeners. This is Miles, and you're tuning in at X-Rays, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. Today, we're rolling out the red carpet for someone who's practically family to the show at this point. Back for the third time, our special guest is no stranger to pushing the boundaries of corporate excellence and sustainability through education. From leading discussions on scaling technology to reshaping how we think about education tailored to organizations, he's here with us today to demystify the true essence of a quality organization where excellence meets responsibility. I'm happy to introduce once again the Managing Director and CEO of ACI Global and e-Quip, Ian Erskine. Hello again, Ian.
Welcome again, Miles. Lovely to see you again.
Same here. I'm glad to have you back on the show. Third time's the charm, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
so for those who missed the previous episodes, and really, you guys should all catch up. The first time Ian was here, we covered everything from the birth of ACI Global to how they use tech innovation to stay ahead of the curve. Then, previously, we discussed how his team tailors educational opportunities for both candidates and organizations to align with their goals. So, Ian, I hope you're fueled enough for today's session. Let's get into it.
Yes, certainly.
All right. You've guided so many businesses, Ian, in achieving excellence. But today we want to talk about the core of it all, quality. So, in your perspective, Ian, I want to know the true essence of a quality organization to ensure long term success. And could you tell us the quality principles and success factors that come with adhering to those principles that every organization should live by?
Yes, and the more this journey goes on, Miles, it's very interesting because when we talk about a quality organisation, that's all well and good, but the quality organisation has to involve a structure, right? Now, that structure, basically, having said that, that is based around people, right? So we're talking about a true quality organisation. So a quality organisation can mean an organisation that's working in the quality industry, can be working in the environmental space, which all organisations are, and you'll see where this goes when we finish this paragraph. It also involves health and well-being of their people, right? Mm-hmm. It also involves the security of the data that the organisation and the people are dealing with to and fro, right?
Yeah.
It also deals with food safety because everyone goes out for lunch, eats their snacks and so forth in their businesses and so forth. So we're talking about food safety, right? Just simple little things. When you put food on a table, you just don't leave it there all the time. If you want to rejoin and eat some more, you put it in the fridge for it to stay safe from bacteria, right? So that brings in your food safety, right? We've already mentioned information security and data, right? But now that's becoming a bigger issue because we're now talking about technologies such as artificial intelligence, right? Which now all organisations are now being exposed to in one form or another. Okay. Now, one of the critical ones there we're talking about is employees themselves are now being exposed to artificial intelligence within all their social media platforms. Right. Now, they are involved in that, so they actually come to work and they have to be understanding that when they're with the organisation and dealing with the organisation, there's certain information that is only held between the employee and the organisation and can't be shared, okay? And again, where I'm heading here is all this is structured under the banner of corporate social responsibility and sustainability, right? So that's where it all starts. So you've got the gist of a quality organisation. All those parts come together, right? And for that to work together, it has to achieve sustained success. Okay. Now, often I hear people talk about corporate greed, profits, and so forth, and things like that. And I take
Mhm.
people back to the very start and say, well, hold on a minute. An organisation must be able to demonstrate that it makes a profit and is sustainable and
Mhm.
creates sustained success. Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't do that, the employees can't simply go home and put food on the table,
Mhm.
right? And so that's why it is so critical. And that also leapfrog back again, and we talk about an organisation must have continuity planning in place to
Mhm.
cover itself for any sudden issues that might happen.
Yeah.
And what I often say to organisations when I ask them, is there an emergency plan or something like that in place for the business? And I
Mhm.
say to the employees or the directors, I say, it's interesting, when you come to work and you turn the corner and you're heading towards your building, this morning you've headed towards your building and there's all you can see is smoke and fire, there's ambulances, there's fire brigades, and all of a sudden you realise, my goodness me, it's my business. It's all
Mhm.
gone up in smoke. Now,
Mhm.
what then happens is automatically, as an individual, they're thinking of, goodness me, what am I going to do next? How am I going to carry out my business? Will I have a
Yeah.
business?
They're kind of
Uh,
lost.
above all, what
Mm.
about all my employees? They're going to come and they can't go to work. They can't get
Mhm.
paid. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to have a plan in place to
Mhm.
commence and that, or for the business to keep running. Okay. Now, whether you all do it from home for a period of time,
Mhm.
that's what we talk about. Um, Having a corporate plan in place so that if
Mhm.
something does happen, you can immediately step off to one side and say, that's fine. We can take that
We can get
hit,
out back.
get
Uh-huh.
up and work again. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So quality isn't just about ticking the boxes, Ian. It's more of a living, breathing philosophy that organizations need to adopt, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Because
And it's a team emphasis because an organisation cannot survive, cannot achieve sustained success if its employees aren't achieving sustained success in
mm-hmm.
achieving their objectives, personal objectives and targets themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Now, all this, you can put that off to one side, but now what we've now got to talk about is corporate social responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and its guiding principles. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to just um, roll down and just demonstrate what that is all about, because basically
Sure.
this is core to how an organisation runs, and in a lot of respects, it runs in the background because we do this personally ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at corporate social responsibility, okay, one of the core principles is accountability.
Accountability.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
before we start at the organisation, again, as I said, the people are the core to the business,
Yeah.
right? So we all have to be accountable for our actions and what we do and what we don't do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, excuse me. So accountability starts with the person themselves. Okay. So we have to be accountable. That then puts the business into a position where they're accountable as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And often I ask this question in a reverse manner to the directors of a business, and I get them to explain to me, how do you explain accountability for the business, right? Now, generally, when this journey between myself and the organisation, when I'm doing their audits and things like that, it starts off with how the organisation actually is accountable for its
Mm-hmm.
laws, its requirements, statutory
Uh-huh.
regulations, and so
I mean,
forth,
with all
right?
the IC, with all the ISOs.
Yes, but not
Mm-hmm.
just the ISO, even just normal statutory and legal requirements, just
Mm-hmm.
simply in reference to the health and well-being of its people, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, when we finish and continue on this journey, when I ask them the question again, they start off, well, we're accountable because our people, they are accountable. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm trying to say? What I'm
Everyone
saying there
is.
is An organization cannot be accountable unless their people are accountable.
I agree.
Okay, so that sets the scene, right? And again, this is why it makes it so exciting for me, because our core business is training people. Okay.
So accountability, spot on.
Accountability, right? So that sets the scene. Now, the second one, again, linked back to the organization, is transparency. Okay. We always have to be open and transparent. Okay. And lots of time I see conversations with people going off stream, and then people will hold a grudge. And in the world today, to me, there's too much of the one word, which is hate. People talk about hate. I hate that. I hate them. I hate this. We should not have any hate in our minds, in our beings.
Yeah.
Okay. Hatred is a terrible word, right? Hatred is if you've shut the door on someone, right? So if you shut the door on someone, you can't talk to them anymore. You're speaking through a closed door or a brick wall. You can't do that. So you always have to be open and transparent, right? And in some respects, I'm the type of person that I hold my passion and my beliefs very much on my sleeve, right? And I'm quite open. As you know, I've been on a cancer journey, right? Now, there are times where during this journey and during my professional journey with organisations and people, I've become emotional, right? I tend to hold my emotion on my sleeves. That's me, myself, okay? Not everyone's like that, but there are lots of people like that. We're all different, right? Now, where I'm heading with this I'm going back to transparency and saying we all have to be personally open and transparent, right? That gives us the ability to understand our fellow beings, our fellow people we're talking to, right? And things like that. So that's the second one. Now, the third one, again, linking back to the business, a quality organisation, right? Ethical behaviour.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, an organisation can't demonstrate ethics in their mission and their vision and the way they go forward unless their people are ethical.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem that I see, and it does happen, right? Now, we have to understand there are people in the world that are not open and transparent, that are not ethical, and things like this. Now, this is why when you join a business must have an open and transparent onboarding process where they bring people into the business, right? Now, one of the key critical things where I take people through, or the organisation through their onboarding process, bringing people into the business, the first and most important and the critical part of that process is understanding what that person is going to bring into the business.
Yeah.
Okay. So as they discuss those issues with the prospective candidate, they very quickly can see that their ethics, their professional behaviour, their passion, their beliefs, their drive, they're going to fit well with the business.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if that person is closed, has a different outlook on life where it's just me, I don't really care about the other person because I'm the only one that matters, right?
Yeah.
That really then won't gel with the organisation. So basically, the very start, they can see, we may have an issue here, right? Now, you can work through that, but there are certain situations where a certain person will not fit into what the organisation is trying to achieve with all their existing employees. Because, again, taking that the step further, the whole organisation is a family. It's a family of people. Okay. Okay. So I'll let you make a comment.
Sorry, I'm just trying to wrap it up. If I understood it correctly, so accountability, transparency, ethical behavior, all these should be synchronized for one to be called a quality organization.
Yes. Because the organisation, going back to a quality organisation, and you then ask yourself, what does quality actually mean?
Yeah.
Quality means you do it once, you do it right. Okay? Now, a lot of people in different businesses link that to the product and the service. And I say, well, yes, that's partly right. But that also means how you deal with your employees, health and well-being of your employees and your staff, right? And again, you've got to be open, you've got to be transparent, and you've got to be willing to look and observe. Remember we spoke about foreseeable risk and the observation being able to observe, right? And again, allowing your intuition, your brain to tell you things. Where I was yesterday, there was an employee that was clearly overworked, right? He was really working very hard. He had extra duties to do and so forth. And it actually came out in when we were talking about the requirements that are now coming through from the world in reference to environmental sustainability, right? And the requirements the organisation are going to need to put in place to ensure that they conform firstly, but then comply to additional rules and regulations. So this guy's doing a whole heap of extra work, right? So it didn't take long where all his fellow employees and team members realised, maybe we're going to need to have someone else to assist you in that process, right? And again, what I say, again, we go back to being ethical, being open and transparent, being accountable, right? Which takes us to the next one, which is respect, not only for ourselves, but respect for our stakeholders, our interested parties, their interest, right?
Yeah.
And that is critical because if you don't have respect for your interested parties, which are your contractors, your employees, because your employees are an interested party, right? The family won't continue as a unit. Okay, it falls down. Okay, so go.
Yeah. Next, let's touch again on corporate social responsibility since you mentioned it earlier. As we know, sustainability has been woven into the fabric of everything you do, Ian. Can you share how your approach to corporate social responsibility and sustainability elevates the overall quality of an organization?
Yes, very simple because it goes back to those core patterns, so to speak, and guidance principles, which we all have inbred in us, right? And we go back to a quality organisation, do it once, do it right, okay? The organisation needs to be ethical, but core to all this is their people's passions, their beliefs, their values, and their goals, right? Now, some people think this is an easy process where you can match the two and move on your business journey. But in some respects, it's not because there are certain people that want to move quicker up the ladder into managerial road. There are people, no, I just want to stay in the one place, right? Now, that's a challenge in itself because in reference to professional development, and we're talking about a quality organisation here, they have to have that professional development journey mapped out for all their employees. Now, whether a person wants to jump that row of ladder up to a senior role doesn't really matter. If they want to stay in one place, that's fine, but they also have to understand, along with the organisation, that you still have to continually improve.
Yeah. Now,
and that's where we head back to the acronym ACI Global, Accelerating Continuous Improvement. You get that with your people, drives your business, and drives sustained success.
Yeah, of course. So how about we shift onto something a bit more technical, Ian, but equally important, risk. Compliance obligations and risk management are critical, but usually overlook aspects of a quality organization. So, could you walk us through how ACI Global approaches compliance, risk based thinking, like observing, assessing, acting, and how you incorporate your plan, do, check, act cycle into this process?
Well, in actual fact, it's interesting because again, this comes up literally every day with me when I'm talking to the business that I deal with. Risk, and again, we go back to foreseeable risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even before that, it's all to do with change, the ability to change. And
Mm-hmm.
you've heard me mention it before, the little book called
Yeah.
Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
about two little mice and two little people, okay? And
Yeah.
I employ everyone to get the book. You can now get it on Audible. It's only a 15, 20-minute listen. Listen to its core message, which is in reference to understanding risk and understanding life's little challenges. And going through life, we all have little challenges that we meet every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an understanding of risk-based thinking, which is
Mm-hmm.
foreseeable risk, which is process management, plan, do, check, and act.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to foreseeable risk, you have the four key sections or sectors of foreseeable risk. First of all, there's the observation, right? Look,
Uh-huh.
see, smell, nose, so forth. But the most important one is intuition, your brain. And
Okay.
I challenge everyone when they go to work today, when they walk up the street, be prepared to allow their brain to tell them what is actually happening. Because if they do, they will see little issues that may turn out become a big issue
Mm-hmm.
and become a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is where it all gels in together. Process approach, plan, do, check, and act.
Mm-hmm.
Foreseeable risk, observation, assess, plan, and
Mm-hmm.
then monitor and review. Okay?
Okay.
They all gel in together. And again, we go back to the true meaning of a quality organisation. A
Mm-hmm.
quality organisation is everything. It's its people, its structure, its processes, its ability to deal with change,
Mm-hmm.
right? Its ability to embrace change
Change. Mm-hmm.
and risk, right? And if we take that just a little bit further, for too long, organisations have been asked to do a risk matrix and put that in a big table and rate their risks from high to low. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm now doing with all organisations is, well, that's good, but what I want you to do is remember foreseeable risk, remember the observation phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you've got a risk that you've said, no, it's not high, it's not low, but it's medium, and you
Mm-hmm.
categorise it, I say, well, okay, ask yourself this question, is it foreseeable?
Yeah.
Now, if that risk is foreseeable, that means it has to actually be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can see the risk, you have to do something about it.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
again, that puts us a bit of a slight challenge because,
Mm-hmm. It
as I
is.
said, the
Sounds like
second part of that process is you have to assess. For argument's sake, it could be an electrical spark that is
mm-hmm.
coming from a lead, right? Now,
Yeah.
I'm not an electrician. I know you're not an electrician. So you could identify it, but the assessment phase is you can't walk away. You have to get someone to come and fix that.
Yes.
Okay. Because the problem that we have is too often we tend to walk away. Oh, look, I'll address that when I have time.
Yeah.
Right. And again, your brain is telling you, no, don't walk away. That's dangerous. But you walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I take people through a little story when I went onto a construction site.
Mm-hmm.
We'd
Yeah.
done our onboarding, right? And then we walked on site and I said to the two guys that were with me, okay, let's do a 360-degree pivot and then we'll each tell each other what we saw. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not too far away, right within eyesight, right, was two elevated work platforms where people are raised up and do work at a height, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them was at note, right? But it was interesting when I asked them, the two guys, what did they see? Everyone just turned around and said, oh, no, nothing abnormal. I said, no, I didn't ask you that. what did you see?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, safe elevated work platforms, but they've been there for ages. So all of a sudden their brains had turned off and become accustomed to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, talking about risk, I said, one of them has rubbish hanging out of its bucket.
Makes sense.
So as we walked towards it, the fellow that acknowledged that there was rubbish hanging out of the bucket said to me, goodness me, I think I know where this is heading. He said, I should have actually fixed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we pulled it down. There was rubbish in the bucket, right? So if someone was working in there, they could have slipped and fallen. If they didn't have their harness on, they could have fallen out, right? And then he also picked up, he said, yes, I know what's happened. My brain told me that there was something wrong, but I was busy. I walked straight into the meeting shed and started work for the day. Then I forgot all about it, right? And that's the thing, what I'm challenging everyone today is take the observation, allow their brain, which is intuition, to tell them what it is telling them what they've seen. Fix it or get someone to come and fix it.
Yeah.
Because too many risks are not being attended to in the correct way.
They're being ignored.
Yes. And they're ignoring their brain. And eventually your brain
they're shutting
will sit and say,
down.
oh, well, blow you. You're not listening. You're not taking any notice of me. So it'll just go to sleep.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Well, compliance and risk, Ian, this too could make anyone's eyes glaze over. But in reality, I think they're the linchpins of a stable business. I imagine that's what keeps the wheels turning smoothly at ACI Global. Now, here's a heavy one. Fraud, information, security, and IT. They're crucial in maintaining a quality organization as well. So how does ACI Global handle this, Ian? And how do you integrate systems and technology to safeguard these operations?
Well, if we go back and we look at, for argument's sake, fraud and information security, lots of businesses have been doing this anyway. Okay. And again, it goes back to the person themselves who run the business, involve the business, and that's what the business is about, is the people. If you're ethical, if you're open and transparent, you look after not only your own well-being, but you look after everyone else's as well and aware of how they're feeling and so forth, right? Which is called primary duty of care. All this will come naturally. But basically what is happening now is that we're now in a position where with ISO, there's guidance standards. So what ACI Global is doing, we're bringing these guidance standards into what they call the normal management system standards, quality, health and safety, food, and things like that. We're bringing these other guidance standards, fraud, okay? And look, fraud is something that affects all businesses, okay? All businesses are involved, for argument's sake, in financial transactions. If we're not open and aware and transparent and on guard, there's certain people in the world today that want to take away the hard-earned benefits and successes of ourselves. They want that for themselves. So we have to be vigilant, right? And just put simple little things in place where we are aware of who we're dealing with, okay? And that's the way then you will adhere and address fraud, right? Now, with artificial intelligence, again, it's a wonderful technology, but we have to be aware that someone is running that, okay? It doesn't run itself, okay? So we have to have systems in place to ensure the data, which is being manipulated by artificial intelligence, is managed, secured properly so that it protects our people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, fraud and cybersecurity, those are just like Wild West out there. But seriously, integrating technology, as you've said, AI, and having robust information security in place would be a very great deal for any organization.
Yes. And I'm aware of the time factor, but just quickly, again, it comes back to people and the way they deal with themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
really, it comes back to freedom of information. Okay.
Yeah.
It is our right as an individual to be able to ask a question. It's our right as an individual to listen to hear what that response is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's our right as an individual at the end of the day to simply say, well, no, I actually don't, that's not the way I would do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, going back to that one word, terrible word, hate, right?
Yeah.
Because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you hate them or whatever they're saying. You
Mm-hmm.
just simply, and you can say it in a nice way, I beg to differ and
Uh-huh.
move
Or
on.
let's agree to
Right?
disagree.
Because, and that's possibly one of the core principles of corporate social responsibility is freedom of information,
Mm-hmm.
freedom to be able to speak your from your own heart, and freedom to listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, finally, collaboration, Ian. Partnerships are critical to success as well. So, how do you foster collaboration to sustain a quality organization? And while we're at it, how does this tie into the business acumen needed to keep everything running smoothly?
Yeah. Well, again, there are some businesses that are sole traders and simply just deal with their own business process, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
majority of businesses rely on interested parties to a system, and just the simple ones are payroll. Okay, most
Yeah.
businesses have a process in place where that's externally provided, so that's a collaborative partnership that the business sets up. It could be with MYOB or Xero or one of those platforms and things like that. Another one, organisations have a collaborative, and that's what we're talking about. Collaborative relationship is the ability to work successfully together. We still all have our different ideas, but we have ability to bring them all together to achieve sustained success. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And another one is looking after the training function. Okay. And that's where we can step in with ACI Global. We can step in and bring quality software into the organisation as a collaborative partner to enable them to ensure their people are capable,
Mm-hmm.
right? You remember the three steps. First of all,
Yeah.
we determine their competency, bring
Mm-hmm.
in their skills and map that.
Skills.
But
Mm-hmm.
the final part is the verification process to determine their capability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we bring all that together. So at the end of the process, the organisation then is ready and has a certifiable system in place that if they want to, they can have that independently certified, or they just keep going through their process, having a system in place
Yeah.
for their improved sustained success.
Mm-hmm. Well, a real quality organization, if I may add, doesn't just stand tall on its own. It brings others along for the ride. So an
Yes.
organization should bring you in this case, Ian.
Yes.
So, Ian, you've given us a masterclass in what it takes to build and sustain a quality organization, whether it's through risk management, corporate social responsibility, or collaboration. For those of you out there looking to elevate your organization standards, better reach out to ACI Global. Ian, thank you so much for coming back and making us all a little smarter today as you give us tips such as being accountable, transparent, and ethical for one to be considered as a quality organization. Always a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Miles, very much. Have a lovely day.
You too, you're welcome. And to our audience, you know the drill. Thanks again for keeping us on the air with your support. And thank you for tuning in to another episode filled with insights. Join us next time for another great conversation. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X Rays.